NOVAGOLD and Paulson Advisors LLC have entered into a definitive agreement with Barrick to acquire Barrick's 50% interest in Donlin Gold LLC for $1 billion in cash, creating a new partnership between NOVAGOLD and Paulson to develop the Donlin Gold project. Welcome to the Donlin Gold Project's unique virtual site tour that will take you on a journey from the project's history, its discovery, proposed mine development, operation, and reclamation. It truly takes a community with expertise, extensive resources, incredible partnerships, and a lot of patience to responsibly advance such an important undertaking like Donlin Gold. This project has been life-changing already for many and can provide incredible benefits for decades to come. NOVAGOLD is a well-financed precious metals company focused on the responsible and sustainable development of its flagship asset, the Donlin Gold project. Donlin is considered one of the largest and highest grade and most prospective known open-pit gold deposits in the world. The projected gold production for the life of mine is approximately 1 million ounces per year, with a mine life of 27 years. To speak on the history of the land where the Donlin Gold project is located is to honor the stories and contributions of the people who have lived here for time immemorial. Today, we will explore the rich history of this site, the involvement of village elders, native corporations, and how we can responsibly develop this vital resource in alignment with our cultural values. Here to speak on behalf of the Calista Corporation is Tisha Coons, their Vice President of Land and Natural Resources, who is a geologist by background, who also had an opportunity to work at the Donlin Gold project earlier in her career.
This land has been stewarded by the Alaska Native people of the Kuskokwim River since time immemorial. In 1909, placer gold was first discovered at Donlin Creek during the rush to the George River. This discovery sparked a wave of mining activity by the people of the region and newcomers alike, with hand mining methods employed from 1910 to 1940 along the creek's eastern tributaries. Over the years, miners adapted their techniques from hand placer mining methods to hydraulic methods, yielding a significant amount of gold. However, during World War II, gold mining in Alaska came to a standstill. After the war, Robert Lyman resumed operations, establishing Donlin Creek as the second largest producer of placer gold along the Kuskokwim River until 1956, when he pursued other ventures. In the early 1970s, Lyman heirs rekindled interest in the area, conducting mining activities until 1976. The landscape of land ownership and resource development in Alaska underwent a significant transformation with the passage of the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act of 1971, otherwise known as ANCSA. This landmark legislation, crafted by Congress, extinguished Aboriginal title in Alaska and organized the state into 12 distinct regions. It mandated the formation of private, for-profit Alaska Native regional corporations and over 200 private, for-profit Alaska Native village corporations, all owned and enrolled by Alaska Native shareholders, most of whom were also tribal members. ANCSA marked the departure from the reservation system seen in the lower 48 states by establishing Alaska Native corporate ownership as its cornerstone. The Act transferred 44 million acres of land to these corporations, enabling Alaska Natives to select lands and acquire underlying mineral rights in exchange for relinquishing claims. 12 Alaska regional corporations were granted rights to select lands rich in natural resources, with 70% of resource revenues shared among all regional corporations. Village corporations were also granted surface lands traditionally used for subsistence purposes. Between 1973 and 1975, Calista Corporation took a comprehensive geological reconnaissance program assessing mineral potential throughout the region. Calista's program revealed promising mineralization, including significant gold values on nearby ridges. Chalista Corporation engaged with local communities, including nearby Crooked Creek, providing information about the potential mineral and non-mineral resources. The wisdom and the guidance of the community elders played a crucial role during this process, ensuring decisions reflected the values and needs of the people. As a result, Chalista's land selections led to substantial exploration and mining leases, generating employment opportunities for local communities. The Donlin Gold project has been particularly impactful, providing cash benefits and supporting local businesses. In 1982, Chalista leased the Donlin Creek gold placers back to the Lyman family, reigniting gold production. By 1984, Chalista had hired its first Alaska Native geologist to develop a mineral resource program, leading to further exploration and collaboration with industry experts. In the 1990s, more active exploration took place involving geological mapping, trenching, rock and soil sampling, and surveying. This work laid the groundwork for future development and further confirmed the area's mineral potential. Before Chalista leased the land to Placer Gold in 1996, the corporation spent nearly a decade conducting extensive exploration and research to ensure that any future mining operations could be constructed and operated safely and in harmony with our values. As we look ahead, the Donlin Gold site represents not only a valuable resource, but also a commitment to responsible development that honors the land and the legacy of our elders and ancestors. Together, we can create a future that respects our heritage while embracing economic opportunity.
In 2002, NOVAGOLD, through their agreement with Placer Dome, a gold mining company that was acquired by Kuskokwim Corporation in 2006, earned a 70% interest in the Donlin Gold property. In 2007, NOVAGOLD entered into a limited liability company agreement with Kuskokwim Corporation that provided for the conversion of the project into a new limited liability company, the Donlin Creek LLC. In 2011, the name of the LLC was changed to Donlin Gold LLC. The feasibility study was published shortly after, and permitting activities commenced in 2012. The cost parameters for the 2011 feasibility study were updated in 2021. This study does not take into account all of the drilling and geology work, trade-off studies, stage development approach completed since 2011, or partnership opportunities on key project infrastructure, all of which the owners have advanced with the prospect of reducing the upfront capital while maintaining the full upside potential and maximizing returns on investments for all stakeholders and shareholders. One of those key stakeholders is the Kuskokwim Corporation, which stewards the land and represents the 10 vibrant communities closest to the Donlin Gold project. Here to speak on behalf of the Kuskokwim Corporation is Andrea Gusti, their President and Chief Executive Officer.
Our corporation and our people are rooted along the Kuskokwim River, where the expansive tundra meets the timbered mountains. We know we have a responsibility to protect our lands that our elders walked, so that our great-grandchildren will have the same opportunities in the future. Stewardship of our homelands is one of the top priorities of the Kuskokwim Corporation and our shareholders. Our elders guided us with the values and the vision to prioritize responsible land development. The Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act created village corporations like ours. TKC's role is different than that of a regional corporation, as we steward the surface of the lands rather than the gold buried deep in the hills of the middle Kuskokwim region. In 1977, our 10 communities merged to form TKC, united in the belief that we are stronger together. Today, we proudly represent over 4,300 shareholders around the globe, all deeply connected to the teachings of our Yup'ik and Dene ancestry. Any development that happens on our lands must be responsibly and carefully balanced with traditional use and conservation. As a landowner of the Donlin Gold project, we see an opportunity to engage in responsible resource development that aligns with our commitment to sustainability and community investment. Our involvement aims to ensure that any potential mine is developed the right way, incorporating not only the best of modern science and mining practices, but also traditional ecological knowledge and values. We believe that by working collaboratively with NOVAGOLD and Kuskokwim Corporation, we can create a project that supports the long-term well-being of our people and our homelands.
As owners of the land and minerals, both corporations have an interest in the development of the project to support the economic prosperity of their shareholders. They have been and remain very involved in the Donlin Gold activities. We are excited to tell you about our plans for the project, including everything from mine development, health and safety, to environmental and social initiatives. Christina Woolston is here to tell you about the development of the Donlin Gold project. Christina is an Alaska native from Bristol Bay.
No mining project can go ahead without the necessary permits. The past decade has been spent conducting a diligent, thorough, transparent, and inclusive permitting process for all involved. This includes stakeholders from the Yukon-Kuskokwim region. NOVAGOLD and its partners Calista and the Kuskokwim Corporations are intimately familiar with the permitting and regulatory processes that are required and continue to work collaboratively with the state and federal agencies advancing these efforts while keeping the project's permits in good standing. With the major federal permits issued for Donlin Gold in 2018, we continue to work with these agencies to secure the various remaining state permits and certificates necessary for the project and to defend what constitutes an exceptionally thorough and diligent permitting process. People are Donlin Gold's greatest resource. Our safety culture is at the heart of everything we do. Everyone goes home safe and healthy every day. Donlin Gold is dedicated to the safety, health, and welfare of its employees and their families, contractors, visitors, and the many communities we work in. Donlin Gold works to maintain this culture through individual and group employee motivation, safety achievement rewards, and safety and performance recognition both in the workplace and in our local communities.
Health and safety is at the core of everything we do at Donlin Gold. I'm Danny Twitchell, born and raised in Bethel, Alaska, located in the Yukon-Kuskokwim region, where I've worked for over a decade. I've been with Donlin Gold since 2006, and during this time, I also worked for Barrick's Turquoise Ridge in northern Nevada. Donlin Gold has maintained an outstanding health and safety record for over a decade, achieving 0 lost time incidents and fatalities. Our commitment to health, safety, and transparency ensures the well-being of our workforce and local communities. To prevent incidents and work-related injuries, we actively promote a culture of safety through employee motivation, recognition, and safety achievement rewards. We implement rigorous standards to protect all employees and contractors, enhancing safety programs at our work sites and throughout the YK region. Our dedication extends well beyond workplace with initiatives that encourage healthy lifestyles in our local communities. We continually identify and address risks and hazards associated with every task, seeking improvements through team communication, feedback, integration of new technologies and processes. Our emergency response plans are regularly tested to mitigate the impacts of unforeseen events. Integral to our safety governance are monthly safety review meetings attended by the general manager and health and safety teams. We analyze significant incidents and evaluate corrective actions. Weekly safety team meetings further engage senior management and employees in reviewing procedures. The collective efforts of Donlin Gold employees and contractors have resulted in over 3 million hours worked without a lost time incident or fatality, underscoring our unwavering dedication to maintaining a safe workplace. I'd like to introduce Vernon from our Donlin Gold team in Bethel. Vernon is a linguist by training and has been with our project for 13 years.
Donlin Gold and Charles die Ashamak and Kalahochilach to Tihuganik. Jolly Wishut can Rillingut, Tap Suki Quick Beam Kuskokwim Sununich. Donlin Nam Yugan Kalahochis Nutum Makumi Ngomang, Kichiki Yaga Kadolgu Kalaho Kogalahait Nunalgutstung. Kalahot Kainach Knaki Jalamachnik, be you Daitniklu, what stock Ikayut Ngalganak Uganechbak, Jalach Gamachnik by Vutlachite. Juhtstohpasoklu kuyuqutjaaqamang qalaarutsjaakluteng juhtstun qalartleqnutam tkanrat nunaaqarmiutlu qanriaraqngathu. Donlin Gold ampiutka nunaaqaati kaayutlqait yipigneqlutsalistengqarteng. Kibusvitjooqalgat saliwitjooqalgneklu kiputeng naqooraqarluteng akiinguullqaat ayoqnerilngortkun akissagtsteng naqluku nerangnaqsaramawaatiikun. Jalistan kuklu TK-seqlu jalishut klaqqait jalishut kyngnaqaqluki. Magut tamarmun kalikertsiranun igausngaut dorten bilkiranun jaaken ikertlkaanek umtlkaanun jalishut siraraqkauluk jalistan kuk TK-seqlu. Donlin Gold amjuqpallornik jalistan qpallungnaqooralqa ayagnilhoq yuinaaq malrugni allqakuuni kituullerni 70-80% tamlu nunniigni jalistan qaqluni nunaaqarnik kuigpiim kuskoqfiimlu awaatiigkugnek.
Investments in local communities and stakeholders are important to us. Each year, substantial investments are made in the regions surrounding the project and throughout the communities to provide specific benefits to the people living in the Yukon-Kuskokwim region. The Donlin Gold team is actively involved in social investments, from education to environmental and cultural preservation to health and safety and well-being. I'm proud of the work by the community relations team who are from the region and have extensive expertise to support the responsible development of the Donlin Gold project.
Donlin Gold acknowledges the importance of environmental investment in the region and has implemented a comprehensive environmental management system to mitigate impacts while ensuring compliance with high-performance standards. We are committed to preserving the subsistence culture that relies on local resources, establishing detailed plans for safe drinking water, stormwater management, and wildlife protection. Since 1996, we have conducted extensive environmental baseline data studies and engaged with local communities and Alaska Native Corporation partners, incorporating traditional ecological knowledge to enhance our understanding of the environment. This commitment to environmental stewardship is a key part of our social investments in the region, collaborating to support sustainable practices and improving local community well-being. Beyond our site activities, Donlin Gold actively participates in regional initiatives aimed at improving environmental conditions. For many years, we've supported the In It for the Long Haul backhaul program, which facilitates the safe removal and disposal of household hazardous materials and electronic waste from villages in the YK region, reducing harmful impacts on landfills and waterways. Additionally, our annual Cleanup Greenup program aids 52 villages in properly disposing of trash that accumulates over the winter. Another important activity is our work on fish habitat restoration in the Crooked Creek watershed, targeting areas impacted by historic placer mining to restore hydrologic conditions while preserving valuable fish habitats. Also researching spawning behavior in rainbow smelt in the Middle Kuskokwim River, a key subsistence species. Our collaborations with Alaska Native Corporation partners to monitor salmon fishery conditions throughout the Yukon and Kuskokwim River watersheds reflect our commitment to addressing stakeholder concerns over the declining salmon populations, which are vital to the traditional lifestyle in the region. Through these initiatives, Donlin Gold demonstrates a deep commitment to environmental stewardship and social investment. I will now turn it over to Pete Kaiser, who is an Iditarod champion and incredible ambassador for the YK region and the Donlin Gold project.
Donlin Gold is a proud supporter of the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race, an annual event that celebrates Alaska's mushing tradition and honors the 1925 Serum Run to Nome, known as the last great race on Earth. This race exemplifies determination and endurance, and for several years, Donlin Gold staff have supported and volunteered at a nearby checkpoint to assist incoming mushers. I'm from Bethel, the largest rural community in the Yukon-Kuskokwim region in Alaska. Dog mushing is part of my family's history and an important connection to remote parts of the region. Donlin Gold is actively involved with local youth in the community, focusing on suicide prevention initiatives aligning with our dedication to enhancing community well-being and preserving cultural heritage. Through these efforts, we aim to strengthen community bonds and celebrate the spirit of Alaska. My journey and success story are that of a community, a region, and a state that lifted up one of their own. Supportive parents, a wife, kids, siblings, friends, and sponsors that stand by your side. Having the willingness to overcome challenges and realize that there are no shortcuts to anywhere worth going. We must do our part in our community. Donlin Gold looks to build that spirit of community. Our future generations need shelter, food, love, care, a constructive environment, and encouragement for them to flourish confidently and succeed. They need a positive support system and opportunities. Projects like Donlin Gold can provide economic development in the region and much-needed employment opportunities for our youth and locals. A balance between responsible development and subsistence way of life is possible. Without these opportunities, it is difficult to find purpose and meaning and leaves room for some of the challenges gripping our region and nation, such as higher rates of substance abuse and suicide. As an ambassador for the Yukon-Kuskokwim region and Donlin Gold, I travel to schools throughout Western Alaska and speak to youth throughout the state on the importance of having a goal-setting mindset and how hard work, perseverance, determination, and an ability to overcome obstacles can be very rewarding. How this relates to the Iditarod race, which is not always fun or easy, but how accomplishing your goals, having self-discipline and motivation can pay off. By being a positive role model and putting in the effort, having pride in what you do, and looking to better yourself, self-worth and mental wellness will follow. This supports my community and aligns very well with Donlin Gold's dedication to enhancing well-being and preserving our cultural heritage.
The two primary deposits at Donlin Gold have different geological settings. The ACMA deposit is comprised of dikes and sills intruded into folded shale and siltstone rocks and tends to be higher grade and more continuous than the Lewis deposit, which consists of dikes intruded into massive greywacke. The most extensive and highest grade mineralized zones in ACMA are located where feeder dikes intersect the sill sequence. Mineralized zones follow steeply dipping dikes and sills beyond the depth limits of current drilling, or over a vertical range of at least 945 meters. Intrusive rocks and competent massive greywacke are the favored host rocks. Gold distribution in the deposit closely mimics the intrusive rocks, which contain about 75% of the resource. Structural zones in competent sedimentary units account for the remaining 25. Gold mineralization at Donlin Gold exists in intrusive dikes and sills hosted by sandstones, siltstones, and shales of the Kuskokwim group. The ACMA-Lewis mineralization is generally associated with arsenopyrite, pyrite, and stibnite. The technical reports show that the resource model is supported by drilling totaling 339,733 meters. 89% of that was core drilling and 11% reverse circulation drilling. Additionally, 21,441 meters of trenches were completed. Donlin Gold's proven and probable mineral reserves are 505 million tons at an average grade of 2.09 grams per ton, 34 million ounces on a 100% basis. The measured and indicated mineral resources, inclusive of mineral reserves, are 541 million tons at an average grade of 2.24 grams per ton, 39 million ounces. The inferred mineral resources are 92 million tons at an average grade of 2.02 grams per ton. The reserves and mine plan are based on a $975 per gold ounce measured and indicated Whittle shell, validated using $1,200 per gold ounce and updated 2020 costs. The resources are based on a $1,200 per gold ounce measured, indicated, and inferred Whittle shell, validated using $1,500 per gold ounce and updated costs. The life of mine strip ratio is 5.48 to 1. There is excellent exploration potential beyond the defined resources. The ACMA and Lewis pits cover only 3 kilometers of an 8-kilometer mineralized belt, and that represents less than 5% of the total land package. The mine design at Donlin is based on 2 pits, ACMA and Lewis. The initial phases are independent, but the pits will merge later in the mine life, forming a single pit. Mining is a 15-phase pit design with 9 phases in the ACMA pit and 6 phases in the Lewis pit. Most of the benches are double stacked and some are quadruple stacked. The pit ramps are 40 meters wide, including berm, and no steeper than 10% grade. Most of these phases have dual access, meaning that if one of the accesses gets cut off, there will still be a way to keep operating. The mine design, complete with haulage access, includes 504.8 million tons of ore containing 34 million ounces of in-situ gold and has a strip ratio of approximately 5.5 to 1. The mine design is considered appropriate to the quantity of measured and indicated mineral resources estimated for the project. In terms of the pit dimensions, the 2 pits combined will be about 2.5 kilometers across and about 3.4 kilometers in length. The ACMA pit vertical wall is approximately 560 meters. Donlin has a mine life of 27 years, 25 years of mining, and 2 years of stockpile rehandling. A low-grade stockpile will be accumulated throughout the mine life, allowing Donlin Gold to process the highest grade, highest value ore early to enhance payback. The remaining stockpiled material will be processed at the end of the mine life. The project benefits from a flotation pre-concentration step, which reduces the amount of material to be treated in the downstream unit operations. After primary and secondary grinding, flotation will produce a mass pull of about 15% to create a 7% sulfur grade concentrate, which is then fed to the autoclave units for pre-oxidation, which breaks down the sulfur encapsulation and exposes the gold surface. The oxidized ore is then fed to the cyanide leach circuit. The overall gold recovery is expected to be 89.8%. The power consumption will have a running load of about 153 megawatts and peak running load of 182 megawatts. Donlin Gold has refractory ore. The gold is submicroscopic and is disseminated in a crystal structure of arsenopyrite and pyrite. Arsenopyrite is a primary hosting material, and it accounts for about 80% of the gold in feed. Pyrite contains only a minor portion of the gold, while arsenopyrite is the main gold carrier with gold in solid solution in submicroscopic form. How do we get the gold from that host material? Donlin Gold has a processing facility and flow sheet. This method is regularly used by the mining industry globally. The primary crushing circuit has a gyratory crusher. From there it goes to the grinding circuit, a single sag mill, and 2 ball mills. Some of the ore is fast floating. The ore goes through rougher flotation, and then the concentrate goes to acidulation for proper carbonate and sulfide ration. This is followed by a chloride wash to reduce the preg-robbing effects in the autoclaves. The pressure oxidation in autoclaves follows to break down the encapsulation to expose the microscopic gold, which then goes through a post-autoclave wash circuit. These autoclaves create acid, and the wash circuit removes the acid from the oxidized ore and facilitates the recovery of reuse of acid in the flotation and acidulation process. The washed oxidized ore goes into neutralization, pre-leaching, where lime is added to assure the pH is above 9. Cyanide and activated carbon are added to the leach circuit to dissolve the gold into solution and absorbed onto the carbon. The loaded carbon is taken into a wash circuit to remove any carbonate buildup prior to entering the carbon strip circuit. The gold is desorbed off the carbon, and the preg solution is passed through electrode winning cells to plate out the gold. In the final stage of the circuit, the sludge from the electrowinning cells is refined in the induction furnace, and the doré bar is created and sent to market. In terms of the site layout, there is a lot of infrastructure that people are not aware of. A freshwater storage dam will store fresh water for times when there isn't enough natural precipitation. There will be a lower and upper contact water dam that collects runoff from the waste dumps. Then the water is either reused in the process facility or it can be treated and released back into the environment. The 2 pits, ACMA and Lewis, and long-term and short-term stockpiles will be adjacent to the waste dump. The processing facilities will be positioned on a ridge between the tailings facility and waste dump and include a power plant and 15 fuel tanks for storage. The site is designed to minimize the footprint and watershed drainages. The waste dumps will be contoured and covered with some of the overburden from the early mining days. All the water will then be drained or pumped into a pit lake, which will eventually fill back up after all the dewatering ceases. If the water doesn't meet water quality standards, it will be treated before it is released back into the environment. Most of the Donlin Gold cargo will be marshaled in Vancouver or Seattle. It will be loaded onto ocean barges and then make its journey through the Gulf of Alaska and then into the mouth of the Kuskokwim River up to Bethel. There will be roughly 13 ocean barges operating per season. Bethel is about 105 kilometers upriver from the mouth of the Kuskokwim River, where it empties into Kuskokwim Bay, making it accessible by ocean barges at certain times of the year. Once in Bethel, most of the cargo will be transferred from ocean barges onto low-draft river barges and will make its journey up the Kuskokwim River to the upriver port at Yungyuk, which is located on the north bank of the Kuskokwim River, 13 kilometers downriver from the village of Crooked Creek, and 312 kilometers upriver from Bethel. From the upriver Yungyuk port, the cargo will be offloaded onto trucks and hauled to the Donlin Gold site. Donlin Gold has been informed by some of the challenges and opportunities from the Red Dog mine in northern Alaska, where a similar ocean barging process has been used for decades. Diesel fuel for the Donlin Gold site will also come via barge from the Pacific Northwest. All fuel barges will be double-hulled and have trained spill response personnel on board. There is an existing fuel storage facility in Bethel where most of the fuel will be unloaded and then transferred to low-draft, double-hulled river barges and taken upriver to Yungyuk Port. There will be one storage tank at the Yungyuk port where the fuel will be transferred, stored, and trucked the rest of the way to the Donlin Gold mine site. Safety and environmental responsibility are appropriately planned with spill response sites located along the river between Bethel and the Yungyuk port. In case of emergencies, there will be trained personnel along that stretch of river and throughout those communities. Additionally, Donlin Gold talks with many barge captains from the area and is continually working with its Alaska Native Corporation partners who have their own marine barging unit for local knowledge and practices regarding barging on the river. Barging upriver is a typical process in Alaska given the limited road access throughout our state. Donlin Gold, Chalista, and the Kuskokwim Corporation have formed a subsistence community advisory committee to address any concerns about barging and subsistence. Donlin Gold's main priority is getting cargo and fuel up the river in the safest and most efficient way, with the least amount of impact on the communities and natural conditions in the river. The round trip between Bethel and the Yungyuk port will take about 81 hours. During mine operations, there will typically be 3 barges on the 274 kilometers of river each day, one going upriver, one going downriver, and one in port. There have also been extensive wave, bank erosion, and propeller scour studies done to demonstrate there will not be significant impacts on fish and subsistence fishing in the river. This work was independently reviewed in the environmental impact statement process, and Donlin continues to update the information as appropriate to further support project planning. Part of the Donlin Advisory Technical Review and Oversight Committee's role will be to monitor barging operations and provide stakeholder input throughout construction and operations. Cyanide needed for the production process is highly regulated and will be transported upriver in a way that meets the most stringent U.S. and international standards. Cyanide will be transported in isotainers in the form of briquettes, which look like charcoal. This ensures the cyanide is dry when it gets to its destination. From there, the team will dissolve it into the storage tanks at site. There will be specialized professionals in communities along the transportation route who are trained to support barging efforts and implement mitigation measures in the event an issue arises during the barging of these materials. Byproducts of the mining process include elemental mercury, captured in the retort furnace emissions controls, and sulfur-impregnated carbon from the mercury abatement process. These will be managed as hazardous waste and shipped off-site to an appropriate hazardous waste treatment, storage, and disposal facility in compliance with all applicable regulatory requirements. As I mentioned earlier, the average power running load will range between 153 megawatts and 182 megawatts. An installed load of 227 megawatts will support the power delivery. The primary fuel for the power plant will be natural gas that will be delivered through a 500-kilometer buried 14-inch diameter steel pipeline that starts in the Cook Inlet and ties into an existing network that feeds Anchorage and the surrounding area. From there, it runs through the Alaska Range, down the backside of the Kuskokwim area to the Donlin Gold project site. The high-efficiency power plant at the Donlin Gold project site will have a redundancy of what is called N+2, meaning that if one unit is down for maintenance and another one fails, there will be enough supply to continue production. Electric power for the project site will be generated from a dual-fueled, natural gas and diesel, reciprocating engine power plant with a steam turbine utilizing waste heat recovery from the engines. The power plant consists of 2 equal halves, each consisting of 6 reciprocating engines and a separate steam turbine. There will be a total of 12 units, 6 on each side with a blast wall in the middle. If something happens on one side of that blast wall, it doesn't take the entire power system down. This is a proven technology like the power plant at the Pueblo Viejo mine, which they recently converted over to natural gas. The oxygen plant at Donlin Gold is another large power consumer producing about 1,750 tons per day of oxygen. The plant will also use proven technology similar to Pueblo Viejo with 2 main air compressors, 1 booster air compressor, double column distillation process, producing liquid oxygen, and then vaporizing the liquid to make gaseous oxygen at a pressure required to enter the autoclave vessel. The Donlin Gold execution plan entails 2 years of detailed engineering, along with early site works, and 3 to 4 years of construction. The construction of the pipeline is also expected to take 2 to 3 years. These activities can occur concurrently. The logistics and barging seasons will be critical to bringing equipment at the right time. Based on the 2011 feasibility study and updated cost parameters in 2021, the total capital cost for the Donlin Gold project is estimated on a 100% basis at $7.4 billion. This study does not take into account all the drilling and geology work, trade-off studies, or stage development approach completed since 2011, or partnership opportunities on key project infrastructure, all of which the owners have advanced with the prospect of reducing the upfront capital while maintaining the full upside potential and maximizing returns on investments for all stakeholders. In terms of sustaining costs, these are primarily driven by mining and by the tailings facility. These will equate to roughly $1.7 billion over the 27-year life of mine. The operating costs for the Donlin Gold project are focused on 4 major categories: mining operations, process operations, administration, and land and royalty payments. All categories combined equate to approximately $635 per ounce of gold produced. This cost will make Donlin Gold one of the lowest cost producers in the industry. When looking at the current gold price, this allows for an exceptional margin for a producing mine. This does not consider the latest inflation, but given the quality of the grade, Donlin Gold is expected to remain very competitive in terms of cost. For mining operations, this includes items such as labor, electricity, and diesel. A commodity like diesel can tend to fluctuate, which could have an impact on the mining costs. Several factors can cause the cost of processing to fluctuate. Labor costs typically increase over time. The price of reagents and consumables fluctuate with the market. The cost can fluctuate for natural gas to meet the high demand for power in the mills and oxygen plant, which feed the high-pressure autoclave circuit. Maintenance is easier to budget. General and administrative costs, including primary logistics such as getting materials up the river, can fluctuate depending on the barging season, but have greater predictability than market-driven products such as commodities. The Donlin Gold project is a capital-intensive facility with many advantages. Once built and operating, it will be a low-cost producer for its 27-year mine life.
Donlin Gold cares about preserving the environment for future generations, while providing for safe, responsible, and profitable operations for the benefit of employees, shareholders, and local communities. We set and maintain standards of excellence for environmental performance at our office and project locations. In addition to minimizing environmental impacts, Donlin Gold has established and implemented detailed operating and monitoring plans and policies at the project site. These address safe drinking water and sanitary wastewater systems, stormwater management, spill prevention and control, fuel, oil, and hazardous materials management, wetlands protection, wildlife interactions, and many others. Donlin Gold is dedicated to protecting the subsistence culture that relies on the water and lands surrounding the project site, and honoring traditions of Alaska Native culture practiced by our employees and neighbors. Baseline monitoring helps to characterize the potential effects of the project, then lays the groundwork for assessing our performance. The Donlin Gold team has been collecting baseline data for over 20 years, including surface and groundwater quality, flow, and fisheries, which is an extraordinarily important resource for the people in our region. We have long-term programs to characterize the ore, the waste rock, and the tailings that Donlin Gold will generate. Our entire environmental field team is comprised of regional people with both experience and credibility. As most mining projects, water is a crucial resource. The water balance, including use and discharge of water, has been carefully estimated to reflect the likely conditions throughout the mine life and after closure, including factoring in natural variability in precipitation and year-to-year basis, as well as changes that may occur due to climate change. Potential effects on water resources have also been a major part of the analysis by state and federal agencies throughout the environmental impact statement and federal and state permitting process. Their input, as well as feedback from local stakeholders, have been factored into Donlin Gold's water management and treatment systems, designs, and monitoring programs. These monitoring programs will help us track how our predictions translate into reality, and the plans will be adjusted to address any changes over time. Natural precipitation that falls on unaffected areas around the mine site will be diverted away from the operations to limit the potential for contamination. Precipitation that falls on the operating facilities will be carefully managed to avoid any uncontrolled releases to the environment. Beyond that, we have extensive monitoring requirements. Donlin Gold has done considerable research, including on-the-ground studies, to predict and manage water. The water management programs will help us track how our predictions translate into reality, and the plans will be adjusted as needed to address any changes over time. Whenever we discharge water at site, it must meet the most stringent state water quality standards, being even cleaner than the water in the streams. Donlin Gold will have an operational water treatment plant, which is a system used at many mines and other industrial facilities throughout the US and the world. Our discharge permit has very strict requirements. Arsenic and mercury are naturally occurring in the rocks and soils and can be released when disturbed by natural forces like rainfall. Donlin Gold is only permitted to allow certain minimal levels of arsenic or mercury in the water used at the mine. The project team will reduce the natural releases from the areas that are disturbed with careful water management. Monitoring reports are submitted to the state monthly. These reports are available to the public. Water management and treatment will play an important role in mine development. The Acma pit area is bisected by American Creek, and the west wall of the ultimate pit will be close to, but not hydrologically connected to, Crooked Creek. Dewatering systems consisting of vertical dewatering wells, horizontal drains, and in-pit sumps will be needed to manage groundwater and surface flows in the pit area. The water treatment plant will treat dewatering and other processed water to meet Alaska water quality standards for discharge into Crooked Creek. The plant will be operated seasonally throughout the mine life. In the mill, the waste material from the gold extraction process is called tailings that are managed in a tailings storage facility. The tailings come out of the mill in a slurry form, are pumped to a storage facility, and settle in the basin. About 80% of the water from the tailings storage facility pond is recycled and reused in the mill. Construction and operation of the tailings storage facility is regulated by state permits. Unaffected water from the areas around the tailings storage facility is diverted around in channels to the maximum extent possible to limit inflows that must be actively managed. From a water quality perspective, cyanide and mercury are reduced to extremely low levels before they even get into the tailings storage facility. The Donlin Gold tailings storage facility will be fully lined with very low permeability, highly durable plastic materials to prevent seepage, These types of liners have been used throughout the world and effectively keep water in the facility rather than allowing it to discharge to the underlying groundwater. The team will regularly monitor the groundwater and surface water below the tailings storage facility to ensure nothing is escaping our control systems. The potential effects of water quality during operations and after closure depend on how the rocks behave when exposed to precipitation. During mining activities, there is waste rock, material that does not contain enough recoverable gold and needs to be managed. Approximately 2.2 billion tons will be stored in a single X-pit waste rock facility in the American Creek Valley, east of the pit area. At Donlin Gold, 93% of the waste rock is not acid generating. The remaining potentially acid generating rock gets properly managed, including collecting and treating the runoff and seepage with no uncontrolled discharges. The category with the lowest potential is blended with the non-acid generating material in the dump to limit acid generation. The category with the next highest potential is encapsulated in dump areas and covered to limit contact with oxygen and water, which in turn limits acid rock drainage. The highest potential category is stockpiled with controlled drainage until late in the mine life and then backfilled into the pit. After closure, when the pit fills with water, this material is covered with water, thereby avoiding oxidation and long-term acid drainage. Overall, about 425 million tons of waste rock will be backfilled, including both acid-generating and non-acid-generating rock. During the closure process, all waste rock in the dump will be covered with material that limits water infiltration. Over the long term, this will limit potential releases. Any seepage will be collected and appropriately managed. The remaining waste rock, all non-acid generating, will be used as construction material, of which the majority is used for the tailings dam construction. Water quality standards in Alaska are among the most stringent in the United States regarding effluent limits and what can be discharged. These standards are designed to protect the streams and people using resources in those streams. They are scientifically developed to guide how companies assess the amount of arsenic and mercury that could be harmful to fish and people in terms of consumption. Scientific studies have shown that Donlin Gold will discharge cleaner water than currently exists in those streams. Crooked Creek, the closest village to the Donlin Gold site, showed that the existing levels of naturally occurring mercury will actually be reduced. The tailings storage facility at Donlin Gold will be constructed using a downstream dam design. Some tailings dams rely upon tailings themselves to settle over time and provide stability. These are referred to as upstream or centerline dams. The downstream dam design at Donlin Gold instead will use competent rock that is placed directly on bedrock. There is no record of large dam failures when the downstream design is used. Highly experienced people in this field and experts from the state and federal agencies came together to complete this work. The dam is designed to be stable under day-to-day static conditions and also to withstand earthquakes. At closure, the tailings will be dewatered, which will increase the long-term stability of the tailings. The pond will be covered with rock, dirt, and soil and reseeded to prevent infiltration of precipitation. Groundwater monitoring will continue in closure. To ensure that the land is returned to stable condition, a reclamation and closure plan is required by law and submitted to permitting agencies before the project is approved for development. Donlin Gold will provide financial assurance that is independently verified to guarantee adequate funds are available at closure to ensure reclamation is carried out. Reclamation involves recontouring the land and covering it with vegetation where needed. Once operations are complete, buildings and equipment will be taken apart and removed. The project has been designed to allow the open pit to naturally fill with water, becoming a lake over a period of many years. The tailings storage facility will be dewatered by pumping excess water to the pit lake. The dewatered tailings storage facility will be covered by rock, growth media, and revegetated. After the pit fills with water, the water will be treated to meet permitted water quality standards and discharged. The waste rock facility and other disturbed areas will be reclaimed. The Donlin Gold team will continue to monitor the discharge, stream water quality, and aquatic resources near the site to meet water quality standards. Natural inflows of groundwater and surface water will cause the pit lake level to rise over time. After 52 years, the level will approach the surface and the water will need to be pumped out and treated prior to discharge under permit requirements. The water pumped from the surface of the lake is projected to be very good quality, but naturally occurring levels of some metals require treatment.
Thank you for joining us for this virtual tour of the Donlin Gold project. We look forward to keeping you updated as the project progresses.